Thanks for listening to Two Girls, One Plant.
We're your hosts, Madison
and Jillian, and this week we're talking about plants and the mind.
Coming out of the garage of Jolted Media Studios.
And before we get into that super heavy topic, let's do a quick recap. How the plants doing this week?
So let's see. What have I done with my plants? There's a lot. So propagation's going great. I've been propagating a lot of new stuff. Pink Princess that I got from Gabriella Plants.
You're propagating it?
I'm propagating it because...
just remember you have such a good friend who hosts this podcast with you who just thinks pink princesses are the cutest plants.
They are the cutest plants. It was not doing well in soil, so I did decide to propagate it, and it was just...
Oh, it's like a backup?
Yeah, it's like the original plant. I did not cut it or anything. It's like the true plant. So I took it out of soil, put it in water, and now it's doing amazing. It's put out so many roots because it had horrible root rot after about a week of having it because it was just wet when they shipped it, which is totally fine. Yeah. It happens. But now it's doing great. So that's one thing I'm really excited about. And I'm hoping to plant it up in soil or a media here in the next couple weeks.
That sounds great.
Maybe I'll just leave it in water. I don't know.
I mean, if it's happy.
Yeah, it's happy.
That sounds good. This week, we had some propagations actually from our trip that I've been trying to save.
Ooh,
so my partner's mom had given us some Chef Lara cuttings and some fiddle leaf fig cuttings because her fiddle leaf fig is big and beautiful.
Yes.
And they are not taken to the Colorado weather. And I'm pretty sure they all went into shock.
Yeah,
so
they're like, we miss Florida.
Yeah.
Send us back.
I think we might have to call it soon on those propagations.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everybody else is pretty happy. Especially I cut up a syngonium plant and threw them in a bunch of bottles. And
what?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of propagations of that going.
I haven't done syngoniums propagating at all.
So happy. Like Pothos happy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to have
to
try that.
Once they get bigger, and they start mining a bit, they've got notes all over the place.
What?
So you can totally chop it up, pop it in water, and they're doing really well.
Okay, this is mind-blowing for me. I've not done that, so now I'm really excited to try this with my syngonium. I didn't realize that they were so easily propagated. Interesting.
Yeah, they're so easy.
Cool. Well, that's our fun little recap, I guess. So we're doing well with our plants, right?
Yeah, not too bad, which is good because we're talking about mental health and plants can be really overwhelming when they're not doing well.
They certainly can be. So that's kind of what we wanted to do today is talk about plants and mental health and our minds and our well-being. And disclaimer on that, this is just our experiences. This is something that we've gone through. We're not speaking for, everybody who suffers from mental health and mental illness because it's such a wide spectrum of things. My depression is not the same as Jillian's depression, and my anxiety is not the same as her anxiety. So it's totally different, and it does vary. And talking about this, I don't know if we'll get really deep, so maybe put a trigger warning on this just in case. Doesn't hurt, but I'm sure we'll talk about some heavy topics and serious topics, but also at the end of the day, this is something that I feel like a lot of people go through and is not talked about as much as, I would like to see in the community, see more representation of mental health. So that's why, this early on, we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt worth sharing because it's something that we both struggled with and it's something that's really popular in the plant community. I personally have struggled with depression and anxiety for years. I've been on antidepressants for over a year now, I think, and smoke weed all the time. One of my favorite plants to help me calm down, which is really helpful. And sometimes it can be overwhelming to have plants and sometimes to see a new leaf or to find a plant you've been searching for at a nursery can be really great and really help you feel better. So I think it really depends on what you need at the time. How do you use plants to cope?
So for me, plants and coping, it really is that excitement, that release of endorphins, right? Where we're just I got a new plant. It's so beautiful. And the whole caring process really helps too. Taking the time to nurture a living thing.
And have that satisfaction.
Well. Yeah. And, we're both millennials. I don't know about you, but I'm not planning on having children.
No, actually.
I'm good with that department. So I think there's been a lot of articles recently where millennials are substituting plants for children. It used to be dogs,
Hmm.
which we have
I would
both.
say, yeah, we
We
do
have
both.
dogs and plants. But really, it was just finding something to really care for and spend time doing. And I feel like plants were just that thing that kind of filled that time. And
Hmm.
that was almost like a distraction for
Yeah,
me, at
give you something to
least.
focus on.
Something to focus on, work hard for. Because plants, while they can be easy, you also have challenges along the way.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, it's like critical thinking skills. Like, how am I going to face this challenge of this certain plant giving me a hard time?
Right, especially as you get more and more into difficult plants. Like it's easy to have a snake plant and kind of forget about it. And I would say um, that's a really great plant if you are struggling and you feel like you're not sure if you're going to be able to take care of something day in and day out. You want something really easy. So something like a snake plant or a pothos or a spider plant is great. But as you get into more and more complicated plants, you have to really dedicate the time to take care of
Yeah.
them. So it's a really nice way to focus and center yourself every day.
Yeah.
And then you also have to know how to handle them when you're not feeling great and you don't have the energy to get up and take care of like 100 plus plants that day.
Are you talking about me?
I mean, just like we've both been there.
So let's recap on that. So how many plants do you have again?
I'm probably at probably around like 75 right now.
Okay.
Probably a good guess.
And I have over 100.
Yeah.
And I feel like the number, as it does start to get a little bit up there, I feel like over what I would say like the 30 or 40 mark is like where it starts to be a lot. And it is like a lot of time you spend caring.
Right.
As opposed to if you had like a few, and that works for a lot of people. And I don't think it's about the number of plants. It's about what plants make you happy. And, if you fucking want to get a plant, get that plant. You know what I mean? If you want to collect and have a huge collection, great. If you're happy with 3 little succulents, like that works too.
That's perfect.
And
Yeah.
you know what works for you. But I think since we're those people who have a lot of plants, it can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or all the time.
And I've definitely had a couple of plants that have suffered, and I've kind of learned when I am feeling well to do as much as I can for as many plants as I can. So
Yeah.
I'll spend as much time as possible, as much time as I can commit that day to making sure everybody's watered and pruned. And, I'm checking out for pests and I'm doing all those things. So on days when I'm not feeling as great, I don't really have to worry about it. And I can just stay in bed and kind of let them do their thing and worry about it tomorrow. And I know who's doing okay and who's not.
Yeah, you kind of like have that like list in your mind almost like
Yeah.
they're doing okay. They could go like another day or two without me watering them and get to almost being critical. And
Yeah,
you kind of just know your
exactly.
plants over time.
Exactly. And then you can't get too stressed if you do lose something. Like,
Yeah.
and it's usually something you can fix. So, like, I know I had a few weeks where I wasn't taking care of any of them. And my Fittonia, of course, threw a huge fit.
That Fittonia coming
And,
back.
I finally got around to watering it. And, like, some of it didn't come back. Most of it did, but some
Yeah.
of it didn't. It got real crispy and I had to kind of prune it and clean it up. And that's okay. Like, it will continue to grow. Like, it
Right.
happens, and
And
it
you
just
didn't get
look
stressed
perfect
about
for a
it.
little
You were
bit.
like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't worth it. Like, I wasn't
Totally.
feeling well. I did the best I could at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll grow.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't kill it completely. There's still something in the pot. I've got some green. So just had to let it go and just.
So would you have that same mindset, let's say, on a really rare or expensive plant?
I kind of have to because I'm still
Yeah.
learning and
Yeah.
I can't get too stressed about it because there's enough going on to stress me out, and
Yeah.
it can be a really big trigger to feel like you wasted a lot of money that you worked really hard to earn on something that's just going to die. So, like, for example, I know my Raven ZZ is not doing very good right now, and I spent like $30 on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of is what it is. I was actually talking about giving it away for Christmas because it just doesn't spark joy for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not really worth having, even if I did spend $30 on it.
Yeah.
So part of me almost wants it to die, so I'm not worrying about it all the time. Like, it's just stressful because I spend so much money on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It really depends on the plant. and I try not to let it stress me out too much. Like, I would rather give it away first than be really anxious and stressed out over a plant. Like, I have to draw the line to keep myself sane.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I like that you said spark joy. I think that's like
Yeah.
a word, like a phrase. Thank you, Marie Kondo, for that. I hope you come out with a new season soon. But I think we hear that terminology all the time in the community. Does this spark joy?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
is this something that I can see in my collection that I'm going to spend the time caring for? And if it doesn't, like, we just bypass it, or, you know, it doesn't spark joy and we get it because we think it's going to look really great on Instagram.
Right. Like, there are people who love Monsteras and there are people who really aren't that interested in them. And I know so many people who bought them and now just don't really take care of them.
Yeah.
And they grow so big and sprawl all over your house. So if you really don't love it, it's just not worth spending all that money, time, and energy on it.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well get something you really love, even if you love the simple snake plants and that's your favorite thing. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do that. There's no reason to buy a trendy pilea that's not going to be trendy in 2 months.
Right. Now, do you feel like you are overwhelmed by how many plants you have?
I feel like I definitely have been.
You have been.
It depends. If I'm really depressed, it's a lot to go through, and I just don't have time. So I'll pick a couple of favorites and kind of look at those, or like I'll only focus on the plants that are doing well. I have a really bad habit of just ignoring the plants that are starting to decline because it's just a negative reminder of the fact that I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
When it is what it is,
Yeah.
So I've definitely had to I have to get better about that. I definitely focus on my favorites.
Yeah. It's like, you're almost like, well, I'm failing, so I'm just going to let this plant fail, and I'll just be like a big fat failure.
Basically, and try and blame it on the plant and say it's not doing enough and post it on a plant shaming Facebook group and call it a day.
So I think I'm kind of like similar, where it's like the ones that are doing super well, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give you all the love and attention. And then the ones that are like dying, I'm like, well, I'll just incinerate you.
Seriously. It's
don't care.
Just eat it, just let it go.
Yeah. Or like you said, it depends. Like, sometimes I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed by all of this that it's easier for me just to not care.
Yeah, at
Truly.
all. I know you went through a period when you first got your job where it was kind of a little overwhelming, right? How did you handle that?
So I was unemployed for about 4 weeks. And during those 4 weeks was probably the lowest point for my depression. Losing a job, it's like a lot of us like take our jobs and like that really builds up our self-worth, I think. And that's
absolutely.
that's like part of your identity.
You generate pride from it.
Exactly. And so for me, I lost that, and I was going through a grieving process, and I really had to figure out like what was important to me, and plants were important to me, but I was just kind of like, I was in such a state where I mean, this is probably gross, but I didn't like shower for weeks, and I wore the same thing every day, and I just
you just really celebrate the basic human, like, just do what you can. Brush your teeth in the morning, get dressed.
If that even. Yeah. So for me, like the last thing on my mind as far as care goes was plants. And I was like, all right, guys, I'm in a depressive state. So let's all just, y'all just need to write it out with me. And a lot of the ones that did, like, those are like some of my favorites. And I felt like, the days that I did like have motivation, I'd get up and care, and I did feel a sense of like, I guess like the word is like relief almost. Like I felt like a sense of relief when like taking the time to like water and prune and care, and like that stress and overwhelming feeling kind of like dissipated, which was nice. But then when I started my job, it was so overwhelming just starting a new job. That's overwhelming. And like you're starting a new job, and like you're going to have your time filled, and that's super exciting. But now you're like, oh God, now I have to find balance. And but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe finding structure, having structure to our lives is a good thing, because then you're more accountable at the end of the day for yourself and for your plants. So it can be overwhelming. I feel overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then sometimes to feel better, you go out and buy new plants
Yeah,
and just
that's a
add to the problem. It's a
problem.
vicious cycle.
It's a horrible cycle. Oh my gosh. I feel like anytime in the beginning when I started buying plants, it was because I was depressed.
Hmm.
I'm that person who is a strong user of retail therapy.
Yeah, you had a bad day at work. Stop at the nursery on
Oh
your way
my
home.
God. Bad days at work led to me spending $100 of plants. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, there was a time where my partner basically had to tell me, "You can't go every day. Like you
I
need to
remember you
stop."
did, yeah.
Yeah,
You did
we had
the
a
one for
plant,
one.
one in, one out rule.
Yep, which I think is so smart.
Yeah, it was too much otherwise. Like, and that was actually a really good way to handle the number of plants I had. It was one in, one out, so I was only allowed to bring in a plant if I got rid of another one, and that way
Yeah.
the number didn't change.
Yeah. See, I think that's such a smart idea. I tried doing that and I was like, I can't decide.
It feels so good to go to the nursery and
Oh my
buy like a
gosh.
pretty plant that catches your eye,
Pretty.
especially when they get something new in.
It's new. It's exciting. You know, you get to be around all in the greenhouse and like it's like that instant like gratification. You're just like so excited to get it home, post a picture on Instagram about it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
And then you're like, shit, now I have another fucking plant to take care of.
Yeah, you spent the money on it that you might
Yeah.
not have really had, and now you got even more to take care of when you get home. It's really tough. It's like tough to know when you should buy the plant and you're comfortable and you have the means to do it, and when you're just making an impulse buy because it feels good in the moment.
Yeah. Impulse buys are like, I think in all different like sectors and industries and whatever, like it is a real thing. But when it comes to plant people and plants, we hear this thing all the time in the community called no buys.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
I'm on
try going on a no buy month or
yeah,
something
no
like
buy
that.
month. I see it all the time. All the plant influencers. I'm on a no buy. I'm not buying anything this month. And then like
They do a haul at the end of the month.
and then they do a haul at the end of the month. Like, bitch, stop. Like, I tried to do that. And you know what? I'm actually proud. I haven't bought a plant in a month. That's the longest I've gone without buying a
Yeah,
plant.
that's pretty good.
No, wait, I lied. I bought a rickrack cactus. But I did go a month before that.
So
That.
close.
Damn it. They had rickrack cactuses at Nick's. How could I not buy one? I didn't have
pretty cute.
one. I
It's
felt
hard.
great about it, and now it's in a corner.
It's a real issue. It's hard to go a whole month. That's a long time.
It was because I felt like I was missing out. Everybody was posting about like what they were getting on Denver Plant Pals and Instagram, and I was just like,
yeah.
no, I just need to be good. And I stayed busy, and then I had a free day, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go buy a plant.
And that brings us to an important topic because everybody on Instagram seems to have the biggest pink princesses and variegated Adansonii and
Oh my gosh.
beautiful elbow monsteras.
Yep.
And sometimes, look, everybody's got dirt all over their house, okay? All those pictures, they cleaned before they took them.
Yeah.
Their houses don't look like that.
Yeah.
It's important to know.
Yeah.
Not everybody has a pink princess that's trailing up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't all look like that.
They don't. Instagram is like so interesting. I feel like it's really like brought the plant community together. You
Yeah.
meet so many great people on there, and you get so many wonderful ideas on how to like, you know, stage your plants and how to care for your plants. But sometimes like a lot of people get so envious of a plant that is like the one thing they're so fixated on that they need,
Mm-hmm.
and they just will do whatever it takes to get that plant. And it's almost not healthy in a sense. And I've suffered, I've done that. I've seen a picture of a plant and I'm like, oh my God, I need to do everything in my power to like find this. Where did you buy this? Etsy, eBay?
Yeah.
What, where,
Gotta
give me
stalk
all
it
the
down.
details. And that to me is not healthy. I think we need to stop sometimes when we're scrolling and say, you know what? I'm happy with what I have because I know this is what I can care for. I need to recognize I'm overwhelmed at the moment.
And you can go for new or rare plants, but because you really appreciate them and not because you saw a picture on Instagram that you really want to emulate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know, there's a plant out there for everybody. So that plant isn't going to be an alba monstera for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
it just isn't. And I know some websites like Steve Leaves get overloaded with people fighting for these plants. And then people like Enid, get death threats because they didn't have enough plants available in that
so
restock.
Crazy.
That's really far. That's very extreme, That's not healthy.
It's not. And social media overall, like, Instagram, like for women at least, like we see pictures of, Instagram models and beauty influencers that really can take a toll on your mental health. Like, I'm not good enough because I don't look like this. My worth is measured by how many likes my photos get, right? Like, it's almost like that instant gratification of getting likes on a photo.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like that. Luckily, I don't really care about likes on anything. However, it is nice to get a lot of likes on something. Like, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely a more general topic than plants, but it's kind of the same idea of, you don't want to let negative commentary affect you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to let that pull you down. You want your self-worth to be based on how you feel.
Right.
The same thing goes for positive commentary. So
Totally.
as much as people love your picture, you still have to like it based on your personal personal preference.
Totally.
So whether a picture blows up or it does terribly, like, I started my plant Instagram to share stuff that I love, and just to have fun with it. So that's really the focus of it. And so it's important either way, even if you get a picture that goes viral and is shared on a bunch of Instagram pages and then your next picture kind of flops, doesn't really make a difference either way, as long as you really appreciated both pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no reason to compare yourself to other people. It's to have fun and build a community. That should really be the goal.
And I think we're similar in that sense, where we're just kind of like, we have our plant Instagram pages where we're just like, just having fun with it. I don't remember the last time I posted, honestly, but I still, like, for me, it's just about having fun on there. And
there's no pressure to post. Like, it's okay. And they're both secondary accounts for both of us. So we have primary Instagram accounts for like ourselves and kind of our day-to-day, which has become a standard for this generation for some reason. But we do have like this secondary Instagram. So there's like no pressure to post regularly or to post a specific style of picture that'll fit like the theme of the rest of the page. Like, it's really irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, you can post whatever you want.
I think I got it in my head where, like, I liked posting all the time, but then my younger sister was like, stop posting all the time. I'm so sick of seeing you on my feed. And then I got really self-conscious about it. It was like, oh, I'm pissing off her. I must be like annoying everybody.
Yeah.
So I would post like once a week, and then I just stopped posting. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm either posting. So it's like so weird. And it's like, I don't have like a following. So it's not like, who am I really posting for? It's for me.
Yeah, you can't think too much about it.
Isn't that so weird?
Yeah, unless you're like a professional who's really trying to, like those influencers who are really trying to build an audience.
Yeah.
And even then, like I said, those rooms they're wiping down their counters before they take a picture. Like, they get dirt everywhere just like the rest of us do when they water. So, they also kill plants. I promise they killed a plant.
And I wish they would show that and talk about that more on these Instagram accounts. I think Houseplant Journal, he talks a lot about like the decomposition process of plants, and he's really open, and he talks about it. He shows his dead plants. He shows his mistakes. That's why I really like following him a lot. He's probably one of my favorite Instagram accounts. Highly recommend go follow him. And there's so many other Instagram accounts that are similar to that. But I think when you follow so many and it's just one after the other of like these perfect, pristine, huge, like you said, all these beautiful pink princesses trailing and like these giant albos, what does it do to us? Like, my plant doesn't look like that, so I'm a failure.
Right. I'm realistic. We live in Colorado,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. Like, we have access to certain plants, and our plants are going to grow a certain way in this climate, and we do the best we can in our homes, and we learn every day and do a better job next time.
Yeah. Do you think because we're bombarded so much with like content and content in the sense of like plants, do you think that that can lead to like almost being addicted?
I mean, to a certain degree,
Like for you, do you think that has like,
yeah. I think the instant gratification of buying a plant is really addictive to me. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I really love going to a nursery and buying a plant, and I'll feel better for the rest of the day.
yeah,
And it's not a real solution. It's very much a band-aid, but it works. I'm super
yeah,
excited about my new plant and finding the right spot for it and the right pot and making sure everything's
yeah,
perfect. It's a really great distraction.
yeah,
So um, I will say on my main Instagram, I focus a little bit more on comparing myself to others because I try to portray a certain image on my primary Instagram
mm-hmm.
account, which I mean, you can follow too, but I just don't use it as much because there is so much pressure there. And some days I'm just not feeling that.
Yeah,
But my plant Instagram page is very much like purposefully the opposite. So
mm,
most of the people that I follow are people that I've met through the Denver Plant Pals
mm-hmm.
or, that I've talked to personally. So I don't know, it's different. I try really hard to create a really positive environment on my Instagram account. So for me, the most addictive part is definitely buying plants and like trying not to spend money when I can't on a plant I don't really need. That's only going to add more stress to my day to day.
Yeah. That's so funny you say that because I feel like when you're broke and like Steve's Leaves is like, we're restocking
Yeah, you get
this
the notification
beautiful
that the
angel wing
Maranta silver
begonia.
band is up or the begonia pavonina or whatever it
Yeah.
might be just
Yeah.
got restocked
And
and
you're
we've
like,
got
I'm
30.
broke and I can't afford it right now. And then you feel like you're like, you have serious FOMO.
Yeah.
Like, FOMO is a real thing when it comes to plants.
Or
Like,
you spend the money that you don't have because you convince yourself you're not going to have the opportunity again.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. You will have the opportunity again,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to tell yourself that in the moment. And it feels really good to buy it.
The
Even if,
opportunity, or if
for
there
sure.
is another opportunity, the next time it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't get as good
That's
of a
what I'm
deal.
always scared of. I'm always scared if I don't buy it now, the next time it's going to be way more money.
Like your pink princess.
Like my pink princess.
It's a bad example. It actually is more expensive. But
Yeah.
yeah, every once in a while it happens. But I don't know. I always feel like it'll come at the right time. Like if you don't have the money, wait it out. You might even end up getting a cutting from a friend for free. Like you have no idea how the
That's
plant's going
the
to come to you.
best thing ever.
The best.
How many plant swaps have you been to?
Three. Three
Three.
now.
Three. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. I even have friends now who call me and are like, hey, I'm trimming like my Adansonia. It's gotten out of hand and I don't want to
Yes.
throw it away. Like, do you want it? Heck yes, I want it. Like, I'll be right over. Give me a second.
See, that's like the beautiful part. I think that I love the most about like the plant community is while, yes, we're bombarded with a lot of content, people on the plant community are so nice.
They're so generous
So
and
generous.
welcoming. We've been in Denver for like 3 or 4 years and
Mm-hmm.
have not really made a good group of friends, like never really had people to hang out with. Like I kind of knew people from my partner's job that he hung out with, but never really people that I'd met on my own or that I
Right.
wanted to hang out with outside of work because it was a really professional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've made more friends to the Denver Plant Pals in like
Yeah.
6 months than I did like the 3 years before that
Isn't
living
that
here.
crazy?
It's incredible. And people are like, oh, yeah, like I'm happy to give you a cutting of this if you have that. Or like, I saw a Hoya serpens at a shop that the girl really wanted. And I was like, oh, I'm happy to pick it up for you.
Yeah.
Picked it up for her. And she literally brought me this beautiful Syngonium. I think it's a Cardi Road. Just for free, a huge cutting of it just to thank me for buying her that Hoya. And I was like, that was so kind. Like
Right.
there was no reason for you to do that.
That's crazy.
It's beautiful.
I love that. That's so amazing. And like, I think a lot of like, I'm sure you, like you said, the last few years that you haven't really felt like you've had a core group of friends.
Right.
And I think depression, like we can be so like almost like a recluse. Like we just want to
Yeah, it feeds
hibernate
on that
and
loneliness.
stay in our home and be by ourselves. And there is such a thing as like, I forget what it's called, but it's like where you're depressed, but you're like, able to portray the world that you're a happy person, right?
Right.
Like nothing's wrong. My world is great. I think for me, at least, meeting and talking to other people has helped a lot. and just the fact that it's about plants, even what we're doing right now, just talking about plants, like it just helps so much and to just get excited about, what we have in our collection, what we saw at this nursery, what we saw on Instagram, like just the fact that like we can just have like this fun conversation about it is so exciting, and it just pulls out your personality. I feel like we both have met people in at least the Facebook group that are very shy, introverted people, and they come to these plant swaps and these events that, you host, Green Lady Gardens hosts, and you just see like their personality come out. And it's just like, it's the most heartwarming thing to see. And the fact that a community based around plants does that it's just like such a beautiful thing. It like brings tears to my eyes. Like it's just such a meaningful thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that if you're like interested in plants or you have some sort of like mental health struggle, like at least tapping into plants and getting your toes wet with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a passion like anything else. You can find other people that are also drawn to it, and it gives you a really easy common ground, that makes it easier to build relationships and talk to people and feel comfortable doing that, not feeling awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much nicer to talk about something you love.
And there's a lot of representation in the community too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are literal transplants, people who've, like you, have moved from other states. There's a lot of representation of people who are in the LGBT community. There's a lot of people of different races. There's a lot of people of different educational, socioeconomic status. Like,
different physical ability who find comfort in taking care of their plant.
Yep.
Yeah, it really encompasses a huge variety of people. And it's beautiful, especially when you see groups like Houseplant Hobbyists did it this past weekend, but where they have everybody come through and post like naked plant selfies.
Yes,
which was like super controversial for a lot of people, but I thought it was beautiful. Like they all had plants in them, which is the point of the group, and everybody was comfortable and different, like no two photos were the same, and they were all beautiful. It was great.
I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I joined Plants Without Pants. Like, what's up?
I love it. I thought about posting mine. I do have some that I thought about posting. Some naked plant photos, but I got a little nervous. I'm not there yet. Maybe next year, maybe next time.
And I think they do it every 6 months or something like that. They try to make it really open and
but that was like really amazing. That's such like a body positive like thing to do that's surrounding plants. And
every plant is different, just like every person.
Absolutely.
All the foliage, all the flowers, everything grows
so
differently.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's nice.
What about people, obviously we have people who are in the plant community, but what about like pre-plant community, pre-plants, pre-owning plants?
People that are too nervous to own plants too, maybe?
Yes. So there's something out there. It's called botanophobia.
Which sounds made up. I swear to God, because it's real.
It's a real word, AKA black thumbs.
Right.
I don't know. Did you have a black thumb?
I always believed I had a black thumb. My mom had a black thumb.
Oh, really?
Yep. My mom had a black thumb and said she couldn't grow anything. And I always thought, well, I'm like my mom. I can't grow anything.
Yeah.
My grandmother could grow anything. And everybody said it was because she had a green thumb. So she just knew what she was doing. And my brother tried to grow stuff and it worked because he followed directions and everybody was like, oh, he has the green thumb too. Which is so silly.
Yeah.
So I always thought I had a black thumb and I couldn't do it until I moved out here and realized you just have to look it up and figure it out.
Yeah.
But it feels really intimidating. You feel like you just can't and everybody else kind of tells you that you can't. It's really common to say you have a black thumb and kind of joke about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like you're just scared that like you're going to have this thing, this living thing, and then it just dies in your care and it makes you feel like worse about yourself. So I could totally understand like why people have botanophobia. They're just literally so scared of owning something that's living that it's going to die.
Yeah, there's a lot of stress.
Yeah. But it's like if you have a child or like a dog or a pet or whatever, like I think you could handle like a plant. I always tell people to get ZZ plants to start. ZZ plants, they're so beautiful. They're the plant, like the steel plant, like it's so easy to care for.
I'm kind of killing my ravens easy, but I do know that that's normally true.
Yeah. But
yeah, ZZ's are a really good starter plant.
They're good starter plants. And like snake plants and pothos, like we mentioned those. Those are really easy to care for. But it's just taking that initial leap to like buy the plant and bring it into your home.
And trust yourself enough to
Trust
do
yourself.
It.
Do the research about it.
Yeah.
But, botanophobia doesn't have to be this, big, scary thing in our lives. And like you said, so many people are like, I have it, and they joke about it. And there's so many people I work with, they're just like, I could never own a plant. And I was like, you know what? I used to say that a year ago, that I could never have a plant. I kill everything.
Yeah, I kill cactus.
I kill cactus. Yeah. But like you just have to take the time if you're really wanting to have a plant. I just say go for it and take the leap. Don't have the fear.
Hey, I'm all about arming yourself with knowledge if you're scared.
Yeah,
so do the
absolutely.
research. Like learn all about the plant you want before you get it so you feel comfortable when you do, and it's not a scary experience.
Totally.
Because it shouldn't be. It's a plant. Like have fun with it. You should have fun with it.
Yeah.
Go buy a poinsettia.
Yeah, this is a good time. Get a poinsettia and like, how do you say it? What did you say? Poinsettia?
No, poinsettia.
Oh.
That's how it's spelled. How should I say it?
I don't know.
Poinsettia?
Poinsettia?
Somebody can correct us.
I don't know.
Somebody will, I'm sure.
I thought it was poinsettia. Poinsettia.
Poinsettia.
Eh.
They're euphorbias. That's all I know.
They are euphorbias.
Yeah, I know.
I know a lot more about plants.
No, probably not. I could have just been saying it wrong this whole time.
Whatever.
That's like Kalanchoe. I say Kalanchoe, and a lot of people say Kalanchoe.
I just call it a Callan and just hope for the best. Do you think that there are any, like, what is something you feel like a pro, for instance? Like, what is something that you've noticed has been like a huge pro getting plants and having plants in your life? Like, what have you noticed as far as like your mental health or any aspect of health in your life?
Honestly, the community has helped a lot.
Okay.
Because I really did miss having that. I always grew up going to like the same school and having the same group of friends and all of that. And so I definitely missed having that when I moved to Colorado. So as cheesy as it is, like I definitely appreciate the community that's come with having plants more than I expected.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to know that I can, if something happens on one of my plants, which might seem really silly and which my partner might roll his eyes about, I can send a picture to somebody and they may be just as excited as I am.
Yeah.
Over some random thing.
Now, you grew up in a religious household, correct?
No, super atheist.
Really?
Yeah.
So no.
Very logical. So it was like,
okay.
I went to church, like we'd go to Catholic church every once in a while.
Okay.
But if I had questions, I was answered honestly. So I kind of made logical conclusions on my own.
Right.
That I stuck with.
Okay. I don't know why I thought you grew up in a religious.
My partner grew up in a really religious household.
That's right. Alex did. Okay. Got it. Yeah. See, and I grew up in a religious household.
Yeah.
I was raised Mormon.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So, very interesting. But, now I have atheist viewpoints now and more like just more spiritual, I guess. But when you grow up religious, you have a community, like you said.
Yeah.
And church is your community. And it's a great community. Like people really need that. And, not going to church for 10 years, I lost that. So I think we kind of are in agreement where like the community is kind of like the best part in having those great relatable experiences with other people.
Yeah. Honestly, the plants are stressing me out. Spending too much money, they're dying. Like, sounds like the people are the best part of this.
Yeah.
I don't even like people. What happened?
We don't like people.
I can't believe we reached this conclusion.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, it's not about the plants, it's about the people.
Apparently.
It's
like a Hallmark episode.
That's what you could take away.
Guys.
That's what you could take away from this. Buy plants for the people.
Apparently it really helps with your mental health.
Yes. I mean, I I think for like, especially around this time of year, like a lot of people can feel really lonely and they don't have family near them. And I think, again, having that sense of community, like makes you feel welcome. Like we're having a Christmas party or holiday party.
Yeah, a little holiday party. And we're doing white elephants. Everybody brings a plant. And
So excited.
we're doing the ugly sweater contest.
Yes.
So we'll have a prize for that. And it'll just be really fun,
Yeah.
you know? So when I'm working on Christmas Eve, like I'll know that that was really my celebration. Like that's where I'll be celebrating Christmas and making treats to share with friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think that's like the best part. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I think too with plants, like we mentioned, like I'm not having children. I'm good. Hard pass.
No, we're okay.
But, shout out to all the moms and dads out there. Shout out to my mom and dad. But I think just learning like basic caring and nurturing, I think I miss stuff like to like actually nurture. So I think that's really helped with me, at least, more than anything.
It's nice to have something to take care of when you're not feeling great. Like my dogs, my plants make me get up in the morning.
Totally.
Even if I don't really feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh.
Cool.
Little Luna needs you.
She does. She's so funny. Well,
on that note, since people shouldn't feel bad about stuff dying in their homes, we're going to do a plant shame of the week.
Plant shame of the week.
So just got to say, let's shame my sundew as a group. Just terrible. Died. Couldn't handle the vacation. Didn't recover. Lost to the winds. So good riddance, sundew.
Yes.
You've been shamed.
You've been shamed. My plant shame of the week is my peperomia ripple. It just like kerplopped over and I've tried to resuscitate her.
That's that.
And it's just not a thing anymore. And you know what? It was one of the first plants I ever bought and
it should have rippled harder.
Yeah. And I feel bad about it, but I now have 129 more plants to care for.
Yeah, it is what it is, y'all. We're moving on.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's my plant shame.
Well, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can find us online at 2 Girls 1 Plant Podcast, and we'll go ahead and put our personal Instagrams down in the comments below. And please feel free to come find us at Denver Plant Pals because we'd love to have you join our group.
Yes, and thanks for letting us get so mental health talky today. I know it's a heavy topic, and there's a lot of talk in the media about it, so we appreciate it. And we'll do something fun and light next week.
Yeah. So we'll see you all then.
All right. Happy planting.